Hello, everyone. My name is Yonghui Chen from National Zhongzheng University, Department of Business Administration. Today, we'll be talking about public speaking in business communication. As we know that people uses public speaking to teach and inform. So today, we will be learning some ideas on public speaking. It is the outline of today's talk. The first part, we will be talking about formats in public speaking. Here, I'll be giving you some example sentences and some practice on how you can have a better public speaking. And the second part of the lesson is like we have to practice a little bit purpose statement, which turned out to be the most important sentence in a public speaking. So, are you ready? First, we'll be talking about some formats about public speaking. So when you are having a public speaking, you can follow these formats by adding in different kinds of sample sentences so that your public speaking can be very, very completed in some way. So the formats of public speaking includes the following 7 parts. The first part is on signal start. So in this part, you will know how to tell your audience that you're going to start a presentation. And number two, you have to greet your audience by giving them some greetings. And number three, the introduction part. So you have to introduce on how you're going to organize or talk about your desired topic. Then moving on to number four, on topic. You'll be using some sample sentences on introducing your topic. Then number five, on the purpose part, is like you'll be telling your audience the purpose on why you're having this presentation. Then moving on to number six, on the outline part. That means you're going to give your audience a really brief introduction about how you categorize your presentation into how many parts and how you are going to emphasize on each part. And of course, on number seven, Q&A. Basically, you will not be asking other people, hey, you have any questions? Instead, we will be using some polite or inviting sentences to ask our audience if they have any questions or not. So, in these 7 different parts of public speaking, we'll be learning something on how you can step by step by using the sample sentence to construct a really well organized public speaking. So, the first part we'll be talking about how you signal a start. Suppose you are in a really noisy and crowded lecture room, and then you like to start your presentation, but basically we will not be clapping our hands or shouted like, hey, excuse me, please listen to me. So if you want to start your presentation, of course, you will have to let your audience know and ask them to get prepared on listening or paying attention to your talks. So when it comes to this part, you can use the following 3 sentences. For example, you can say, okay, then, shall we start? Or number two, okay, then, I'd like to begin. Or you can simply use a really short sentence by using like a number three. Let's start, blah, blah, blah. So, if you want other people to pay attention to your public speaking or your presentation, you will be using the following 3 sentences on telling them that you are going to start. And please pay attention to my presentation or speech. Okay. So, after you tell your audience that you're going to start your presentation, the second part moves on to greeting, which means you're going to say hello to your audience. So, how will you say hello to your audience to show that you are polite and very respected? Of course, you can use the following 3 sentences. Number one, you can say, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honorable judges, distinguished guests, blah, blah, blah. It is very important that you'll be using these kind of expressions when you are having an oral defense. Okay, to make your professors feeling really welcomed. And number two, you can say thank you for your coming to say hello to your audience. And of course, number three, you can say I'm very happy that you've come here today. So it is very important to say hello to your audience and make sure that they they know who you are, and then they are already ready to pay attention to participate in your presentation. Next part, you will have to introduce yourself. But why do you have to introduce yourself? Is because when you are introduce yourself, you can establish your credibility and you can get closer to your audience. And then by doing so, of course, your audience will know you better, and then maybe they'll be very interested in your presentation. So, for example, in the introduction part, you can, of course, introduce yourself by using sentence number one. For example, you can say, let me start with just a few words about myself or about my own background. So from that time on, you'll be able to tell a little bit on your background. Okay. And you can also say, hello, my name is, for example, Mary Wang from Taiwan. Or number three, you can say, I represent CCU, or I am a representative of CCU. So please make sure that you will have to tell other people about your name, which is very, very important. And also, you have to tell them where you're from so that it is adding and building up your credibility. After you introduce yourself, of course, you have to tell the people on the topic that you're going to discuss about. So for the topic part, you can say on number one, I'm going to present the recent issue of something. Or I'm going to present or I'm going to inform you about something. Or on number two, you can say the subject, the focus, the topic of my talk is about a certain kind of issue to give your audience a brief idea about your topic. The next part, you'll be talking about the outline. The importance of having an outline is you want your audience to know how many sections will be divided in your presentation and probably how long will it take to listen to your presentation. So, for example, the sample sentences will be number one, I've divided my presentation into four parts or four sections. They are section one, two, three, and four. Or number two, my presentation will consist of how many parts? So I would like to begin with my first point on blah, blah, blah. So please make sure that you'll be giving your audience some general ideas about how many parts or how many sections we'll be having within the presentation. After you finish introducing about your outline and you are finishing your content, so after you finish all parts of the presentation, you will have to move on to the Q&A part. But for the Q&A part, I would like to make sure that you'll be using some polite language. So basically, we will not say, hey, do you have any questions? Oh, it is not really okay. So we want to be as polite as possible. So we will say, for example, sentence number one, I'll be glad to answer any questions at the end of my talk. Or you can say, if you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt. So these two sample sentences will be conducting in the very last Q&A part. So after we know something about the layout of public speaking, let's move on to a summary of how a public speaking layout should be like. The layout of public speaking should be looking like this. we have 7 different parts on having a public speaking. So the first part, you will signal start, moving on to greeting, then introduction about yourself, then talking about the topic and the purpose why you will be discussing the topic, then moving on to the outline on several different parts. Then after you finish the whole presentation, you'll be moving on to the Q&A part. So please make sure that these 7 parts of public speaking are really crucial. So you will have to use some of the key sentences that we have discussed. Do you still remember that? Maybe you can practice a little bit later on by putting down into several key sentences that can make you remember more. After we know something about the layout of public speaking, we'll have to move on to the second part of this class on the purpose statement. So as you can see, there is something really important that I had highlighted in red that is called purpose. So in the following slide, we will be talking about some ideas on the purpose part, on how you can construct a better sentence to inform your audience about the purpose of your presentation. When you're having a presentation, the purpose is very important because you're going to tell your audience why you are here. What is the reason why you would like to have this presentation? So you will have to construct a really well organized purpose statement. So you may ask, what is purpose statement? Basically, a purpose statement is a sentence which summarizes the specific topic and goals of your presentation. For example, if you say, hey, today I would like to talk about jeans. This sentence is too general because you are not summarizing a specific topic and goals. So instead of saying that, hello everyone, today I would like to talk about jeans, you can kind of like change your purpose statement into a different kind of way. For example, you can say, today I would like to talk about how jeans have influenced the way people dress and work. So in this kind of purpose statement, it is much more specific, and it will be kind of like a summarize on how you will be sharing your ideas on jeans and on how people they dress and how people they have be influenced by wearing jeans. So for example, if you want to have a really nice purpose statement, you will have to follow these following 4 rules. For example, your sentence should be specific and precise. So it cannot be general, it cannot be too broad or too obscure. For example, you talk about, for example, you say, I would like to talk about ice cream. This kind of purpose statement is too general. So you have to focus a little bit. And on number 2, your purpose statement has to be concise. So you will be using probably 1 or 2 sentences to tell your audience the reason why you are here. And number 3, your purpose statement has to be clear, not vague, ambiguous, or confusing. So for example, if you say, I would like to talk about advertisement on TV, this purpose statement is a little bit vague because people they're not sure about what kind of advertisement we'll be talking about. So it is better for you to change a little bit, such as today I would like to talk about some fast food advertisement on TV within these 2 years. So when you are saying that, your purpose statement turned out to be much more clear. And of course, moving on to number 4, your purpose statement has to be goal oriented, which means that you have a goal in your mind. It is totally focused. So you will be stated in terms of desired outcomes, whether on the disadvantages, advantages, or pros and cons. So you have to specify a really targeted or a focused point of view. As we know that our purpose statement within these one or two sentences, they have to be specific, concise, clear, and oriented. Let's have a little practice on purpose statement to see if you understand the general idea about purpose statement or not. In this practice, we'll have to kind of like think about which of the following three purpose statements are better. So, sentence number one, you will have to imagine that when you are on the stage, do you think that'll be okay to say this or not? Okay, so let's move on to sentence number one. The purpose of my presentation is to describe the changes that are occurring in corporate America. Do you think this sentence is okay? Do you think this sentence is following the rules of having specific, concise, clear, and goal-oriented idea on purpose statement? Please think about it. And number two, the purpose of the speech is to discuss successful HR departments. Do you think this sentence is also specific, concise, clear, and goal oriented so that your audience can have a better idea about your topic? Let's move on to number three. This presentation will cover different ways a company can become organized. So, do you think this purpose statement is also specific, concise, clear, and goal oriented? I'll be telling you which sentences are good or better in the following slides. Are you ready for that? So let's discuss about the purpose statements in this slide, whether they are good or not okay. So, for example, sentence number one, the purpose of my presentation is to describe the changes that are occurring in corporate America. This one is not okay. Why this one is not okay? It is because this purpose statement is too vague and too broad. Why? Because you focus on changes. But I would like to know what kind of changes. Are those changes made by people, driven by the nature? I'm not really sure. And also on number two, you talk about corporate America, but I would like to know what kind of corporate. Is this corporate selling fast food? Are they running business on different slides? We are not really sure. So this purpose statement is not really okay. So we can change a little bit. Let's move on to the second purpose statement. The purpose of this speech is to discuss successful HR departments. This sentence is also not okay as a desirable purpose statement. Why this sentence is not okay is because it is very vague, very broad. Because I'm not sure about what is the meaning of successful. Whether you can define successful when people they're making money, or you can define successful when people get flying colors in their test, or you can define successful when people win a competition. So we have to define a little bit on the term successful. Okay, let's move on to the third purpose statement. Wow, the purpose statement on number three, it is also not okay. Why this purpose statement is not okay? is because of the following ideas. For example, you will not say the presentation will cover the different ways a company can become organized because it is very misleading. I'm not sure about what are the different ways and what is this specific company. So you may add your purpose statement into, for example, I have two ways of resolving a problem, or specific company you can specify on, maybe it is company from USA, a company that is manufacturing fabrics or not. So here are some ideas about the purpose statement. So are you having a better idea about how a purpose statement should be? Always remember that a purpose statement should be specific, concise, clear, and goal oriented. Okay, so why not we can have a second practice on purpose statement. I'm sure that through this practice, you'll be having a better, clear an idea on how a good purpose statement should be. Are you ready for that? Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. In these three sentences, you will have to decide which sentence is better on a purpose statement. So the three sentences are: number one, this presentation will explain how supervisors can use 4 planning strategies to improve employee productivity in the workplace. Do you think this purpose statement is specific, concise, clear, and goal oriented? Number two, the purpose statement is: this purpose of this presentation is to describe the main causes of early retirement in high-tech related industries. Do you think this purpose statement is specific, concise, clear, and goal-oriented? Think about it. And number three, the purpose statement goes to: my presentation will describe the 4 common causes of co-worker conflicts in business organizations. So do you think this purpose statement is specific, concise, clear, and goal-oriented? You can also think about it. So let's check the answer for this practice on purpose statement. Did you get it all correct? Basically, sentence number 1, 2, and 3, they are all very well organized as a purpose statement because all these 3 sentences, they are specific, concise, clear, and goal-oriented. For example, sentence number 1, you know some planning strategies on employee productivity. Of course, you focus on the workplace. And sentence number 2, as an audience, you will know that the speaker will be talking about the main causes and also on early retirement, especially in high tech related industries. And on number 3, if you are an audience, you will be able to know that the speaker will be focusing on 4 common causes of co-worker conflicts, especially in business organizations. So basically, for these 3 sentences on purpose statement, they're all very well organized. So let's have the little conclusion about purpose statement. We know that for purpose statement, they have to be specific, concise, clear, and goal-oriented. So all these purpose statement, you have to have something achievable, something possible, and something specific. So within these 1 or 2 sentences on your purpose statement, they have to be very powerful and they have to get right to the point to your audience and you have to let your audience know right away on your idea on how you're gonna present your topic. So the purpose statement, they have to be something achievable, possible, and specific. Okay, let's wrap up a little bit on today's lesson. In the first part, we talk about formats in public speaking. So we know that there are 7 different sectors when you are having public speaking. So you can add on key sentences to your presentation script so that your audience can have a better idea about the overall summary of your presentation. And especially when you want to talk about a specific topic, you have to make sure that your purpose statement, which means 1 or 2 sentences, they have to focus on precisely on your topic. So your purpose statement has to be specific, concise, clear, and goal-oriented. So make sure that when you are talking about your purpose statement, you will not be using words such as, I would like to talk about several points, some ideas. Okay, so it is better for you to say, I would like to talk about, or I would like to focus 3 points on certain kind of topic. So please make sure that they have to be achievable, specific, and possible. Okay, so it is the end of today's lesson on business communication, focusing on public speaking. I hope that you can get a better idea about public speaking and make sure that you can practice a little bit when you have free time so that your presentation skills can be better and improved. So I will see you next time. Bye bye.